Hey,
Hello,
Andrew.
hello.
Bob, hi. Good morning, everybody.
What up?
Hassan, yo. I like that everyone is switching up the greetings. Every single one has been different.
Where's everybody calling from? Let me put locations if that'd be fun. Where I'm in Vancouver, BC. Miami, Bob's in Miami. Brian, where are you at?
I am in Nova Scotia, Canada, and yes, we
There we
are
go.
under a foot and a half of snow.
There we
Yeah,
go.
as
Awesome.
far from Pakistan as I think we can get on the map.
Miami, UK, Toronto, India. Love it. Love it. We'll go through intros in a second because I'm sure everybody's wondering who these beautiful faces are, rather than Jordan West. But we'll give everybody a couple minutes to trickle in, and then we'll jump into our awesome workshop we have planned for everybody.
And I put this in the chat as well, but please feel free to use the chat function throughout this workshop for any questions that you have or any topics that you would like to discuss at the end during the Q&A section.
Beautiful. Protein iced coffee, love that. Awesome, awesome. We'll give it to I'm at my time, 10:03, and then we can jump right into it so nobody just has to keep waiting. But yeah, I'll give you everybody a bit of a uh, high level of what we're going to cover. I mean, as you can see by the description and the title, it's the creator playbook. The majority of success driven by TikTok Shop is through your relationship with the creators. So here at SCC, we've made all the right moves and all the mistakes so you guys don't have to when it comes to creator relationships and how to attract the right creators, work with the best creators. And so we're going to give you just our kind of exact process and the playbook to set you guys up for success. And then of course, yeah, jump into Q&A at the end, but we'll rip through this in, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. Who knows? Sometimes I go on some rants, especially with the important slides. And Brian will keep me responsible with going through it at a good matter. But yeah, let's just I think it's 10:03 for me. We got 15 people in. Let's jump into it. And yeah, as questions are coming up, please be active in the chat, and me and Brian can jump to those questions towards the end and expand on some points. But looking forward to it. So I'll share my screen and we can start our
I
creator
also, while
playbook.
Parker is pulling that up, I will introduce myself so you understand why I am here on behalf of Jordan as he travels. So specifically my role at SCC, I am our CMO. I oversee the entirety of service delivery across all of our departments, so D2C, but why most people are going to be here today, TikTok Shop as well as Unified. So I am personally responsible for making sure that you guys and everyone who is going to be joining future webinars learns from everything as we learn from it. So these are the playbooks that we have developed that we use on a daily basis for our clients, both small, medium, as well as large billion-dollar brands. This works at scale, which is why we're bringing it to you. And it is also important that as TikTok Shop changes on a daily basis, we must change with it. So we are constantly evolving these playbooks, constantly evolving our tactics, and pushing forward and scaling with what works. So as Parker mentioned previously, you have the absolute joy to learn from our mistakes, having been early adopters into the TikTok marketplace. So very excited to take you guys through this.
And then I'm Parker Kump. I'm the CEO of Social Commerce Club. Myself and Jordan are partners in the business. I've been in D2C for I don't know, quite some time now, and so truly the relationship between me and Jordan is visionary and integrator. Jordan's our founder and president and the visionary of the business, and I'm running the day to day to make sure everything gets done to follow that vision and gets executed to the decisions that we make together. But yeah, so I'm super excited to jump in this. You're probably going to see our faces a lot more often in these workshops. Jordan is traveling right now, but as well, we've put all this together with Jordan. So yeah, let's jump into it. So like we said, this is the creator commerce blueprint. So or the creator playbook. Essentially, the success on TikTok Shop is what we determine is selling to creators, and the creator's job is to sell to consumers. A lot of brands already come in to TikTok Shop with the broken thought of like, how can we position our products best for the consumer? Which, yes, of course, you should have that in the back of your head, but actually the real success is driven by how can we position our brand so it attracts the best creators. If you're doing that and you're getting people coming into your brand, wanting to create content, wanting to drive high volume of GMV through their content, you will find success. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It isn't as simple as just, all right, let's just sample a bunch of creators and hope for the best. There's a lot of strategic things that you can do that we're going to walk through to really position yourself for success and attract the best creators. And if you follow these steps, the probability of success through TikTok Shop doubles, triples, quadruples. It is the biggest lever to pull within this niche of e-commerce and TikTok. So let's just jump into it. The cold start reality check. So a lot of people that join these workshops are in the cold start department. What is a cold start? It's essentially you're new to TikTok Shop, right? You're new, you're either starting off or you are stuck with very low traction. That is still deemed a cold start. Just because you're not a brand new startup, even if you've been around for 6 months, you can still be classified as a cold start. There's brands out there driving millions of dollars of GMV. And so your job as a cold start or somebody that wants to gain traction for your brand on this channel is to have creators stop what they're doing over there and come work with your brand. These creators are all little entrepreneurs, not little. Some of them are driving hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to their pocket. So they're actually substantial entrepreneurs, but they follow the money. They follow the offer. They follow what will drive success, because this amazing channel that was created through TikTok Shop is a win-win. They only get paid when they actually drive substantial revenue for your business. So they have to select what will actually work for their audience, for their personal brand, their content style. So the first step of brands, strategists, marketing managers, whatever your position or who you are within your company that's trying to drive value in TikTok Shop, is to know the reality check. Are you a cold start or not? If you are, then you have to position your offer and your brand successfully to these creators for them to pause the work, because these creators are putting hours and hours every week into creating content. We have brands that are doing millions of dollars a month of GMV. They're getting creators 20, 30 videos a week created for them. Like, that is a substantial amount of work. So why should that creator stop what they're doing and go to your brand? What's risk reward factor, right? It's the same question of, if you're working at a big company that has a very stable career trajectory, why do people quit that and go to a fancy startup? Because there's a risk reward there. Potential equity, there's a bigger upside on the growth of the company. It happens all the time. So it is very possible. We see it every week with the cold start brands that we work with, but there's just some easy factors that you have to put into your offer that will set you up for success. Brywen, I know you deal with this on a regular basis. Anything that I missed or that you want to expand on, like the cold start reality check?
Yeah, I think it really boils down to two questions that you can ask yourself. Now, if you're new to TikTok Shop, where you're just getting a shop set up, you're obviously going to be in the cold start phase. But if you've been up and running and you're kind of saying, well, Parker, I've been at this for 6 months, like I know our GMV isn't where I want it to be, but I don't consider us cold start. There's two questions that you can ask yourself. The first is always going to be GMV. Are you driving consistent and scaling GMV on the platform that is making it worth the squeeze for you and is starting to excite you? And then the second question is, do you have a consistent flow of creators that are interested in working with your product? Or every single month, are you struggling to hit your sampling targets, struggling to have the types of creators that you want coming to you, as well as accepting sample requests and target collab requests? So if the answer is no to both of those questions, I would highly recommend repositioning your mindset as, okay, we're cold start. What does that mean and what is the next step forward? Because there's always a next step forward, but it's going to start in like the path and the strategy that makes sense for you is going to be dependent on sort of accepting that fact there. Because the thing is, again, if you're a cold start, it's going to have a slightly different strategy that you're going to want to employ specifically for attracting creators. The other thing that I want to mention here is, so you'll see at the bottom of this slide, it mentions that creators don't chase virality, they chase consistent incomes. In the early days of TikTok Shop, every single creator, every single brand that was running a shop was at the mercy of the algorithm. And you would say, hey, yes, you need volume. Yes, that needs to happen because you're at the mercy of the algorithm and you're really just hoping to get lucky with a viral moment so that way you pop off and you start generating GMV faster. You're not 6 months down the line still trying to chase that. That is something that I would not want to bet my business on. I wouldn't want to bet my budgets on. I wouldn't want to bet my house. Virality is not something that you can bottle up and gain instantaneously. Rather, it's how do we gamify and play to the algorithm's strengths, use what we know works, and make sure that we're able to position the brand and the TikTok Shop itself so that creators want to consistently come back to that shop, even if there's no sales there yet. And that's something that we really get into here. Creators don't want to have to make 500 videos to have one work. They want to be able to create a consistent 20 to 100 videos a month maybe, and know that a larger percentage of those are going to gain them sales. That's what they're looking for.
Awesome. What would you say is the threshold for brands of, okay, if like we're saying consistent GMV, what's a good goal for the people listening of like, once you're consistently hitting at least this mark, that's when you would be considered kind of moving out of that cold start segment?
So I hate using the phrase "it depends," but it does vary. So it's going to depend, for instance, on product category, niche. For instance, if you're one of the brands that are selling like a $10 to $15 product, then consistently hitting $20,000 months is probably going to feel very good for you, depending on your COGS. But I would say as soon as you're in that 20 to 30K range, that's where it starts getting exciting. That's where you're going to open a lot more doors for convincing creators to come on board without having to pay, additional flat fees or super high commissions. That's where you have a lot more options at your disposal.
Awesome. Love that. And guys, just so you know, we want to like start with the reality check and the like framework, and then we're going to be getting into a lot of actionable tips, just so you know. But we just think it's crucial to understand where you sit in the world of TikTok Shop before going into the actionable steps, so you can really action them accordingly for where you are. So what is the first thing you have to realize is what is a strong offer for a creator? You're going to go reach out to, we recommend brands are sending at least like 100 to 300 samples when they're starting. So that is a lot of outreach. What is a hell yes, right? What is an offer where creators can read it within 30 seconds and say, yep, I want to work with this brand? Because again, we have to move them off of their moneymaker and into this larger risk, which is a cold start. Or even if you're a brand that's scaling, this isn't just for cold starts. If you want to be recruiting new, still have to have a hell yes offer for them to move away from their consistent and move consistent TikTok Shop to then yours. So first thing that is the number one deal breaker is free shipping. It's just, we've set the trend now. You have to have free shipping on your TikTok Shop. It's set by the ecosystem of shops around you. If you do not have free shipping, creators will immediately be like, nope, that's too much of a lift already for my audience. So you have to have free shipping on all orders on TikTok Shop. A commission floor. So we recommend brands starting anywhere from 15, we see brands 20, even brands starting at like 30% commission. So the percentage, I don't want to give you a percentage guidance because I think Jeff Bezos is famously quoted, you can't eat a percentage, right? So the best is like, what is the dollar amount, right? A commission floor of $5 an order. So that way, depending on your AOV, you can at least take this in action on it. You should be sending creators to start at least a $5 commission. So whatever that percentage equals per order. They can then do the mental math of, okay, if I drive 100 orders, I'll get this amount. If I drive 200 orders, I'll get this amount for my commissions. But a $5 minimum floor is the minimum. $7, $8, $9, $10, even better. But I wouldn't be going below a $5 commission floor for your offer for the creators, as well as to start commission parity, right? If you have set the same percentage with your ad spend to organic to start. Again, we want to be attracting creators. This is all to start, and then once you're a thriving GMV store, like at 6 figures a month, you can then change these commission rates and have clear communication to your creators. But to start, I would not penalize them for putting ad spend behind their content, right? That will also deter them. So if it's 15%, having an equal 15% ads and organic, having a $5 minimum commission floor and a free shipping, as well as there's a couple more that we've added in here. So the top 3 I already went through. The biggest one that we see that causes a lot of headaches is a TikTok only exclusive offer. If these creators are making 20 to 30 videos, getting you millions of views, and your offer of the product is the exact same on your Amazon and Shopify, and consumers are just seeing these videos and then going and buying on Amazon and Shopify, it is the easiest way for creators to not be motivated to work with you. So this is exclusive discounts. We've even had brands exclusive product lines just on TikTok Shop, exclusive offers, bundle offers, and creators will put that in your content. Hey, you can only get this offer here. Hit the link below. We want them to be motivated to create content, consumers see it, and then quick checkout action item because they can only get that offer that they're promoting on TikTok. Again, once you're scaling, it's a different story, and you can mix in exclusive offers with just general green, evergreen content that you can move across platform. But to start, make it a TikTok exclusive offer, and you will attract a lot of high quality creators. And the last thing is reliable stock and prompt payouts. This relates also to your shop score, but the easiest way we've seen brands lose traction of their creator program is when they pop off and they start generating a bunch of GMV, and then all of a sudden they're messaging people saying, hey, sorry, I know that video is going viral, but now we're out of stock and you can't get any more commission for that. That is such a quick way for creators to get unmotivated. And then because now they know for the future, if I go get millions and millions and millions of views, they're going to run out of stock. So that deters them. As well as prompt payouts, you have a tight window to once they get a sale to pay out. If you're delaying that one, it will affect your shop score, which will quickly deter creators, and people don't want to be chasing for payouts. So this all plays not only towards the creator relationship, but also towards your shop score, which is the pinnacle. You want your shop score at least at a 4 star, preferably a 4.5 and higher, and that will really attract high GMV, or more importantly, it won't deter anybody from working with you. We just had a client that, I mean, they didn't anticipate it, but they went from $10,000 a month on GMV to then we sold millions of dollars in the next 2 months, and then they ran out of stock, and they had some great creators. Fortunate enough, we have a great community, and the creators are understanding that they didn't anticipate going that fast, and so now they're getting new stock come in. But prompt communication around that is, so really make sure that if you're going to invest heavily into this channel and you are going to work with these creators and gain traction, please make sure your inventory can hold that traction for the sake of your creator relationship and your shop score. Awesome. So now that you know how to position your offer, what is a launch strategy? A great way that we've seen in the past is kind of being a barnacle on a whale. Creators, you're going to hear this consistently from me, like simplicity is key, right? So if you're saying, hey, we are just like this industry leader, but we have this differentiator, and so you can create content based off that. Like an example is we had a client in the home decor space, and they had an automated vacuum. And so what's one of the best shops out there is Shark Home, right? And the Shark Matrix is their automated vacuum. We say, hey, it's just like that product that's doing X million of dollars of sales, but this is the differentiator. Creators immediately can go, oh, I know the content that works for that store, and then I can just highlight the differentiator, and it's kind of a baked in oh, there's already a market for it, and so I can drive volume. That's a great way to position it to creators. If you're saying, hey, there's nothing like this in the market, you're going to have to do a ton of consumer education through your videos, and hopefully it converts. That scares them, right? So if you're in an industry or a niche that has some industry leaders and you just have simple differentiators, that is perfect to gear them with creative strategy, because then they can connect the dots of, okay, well, that they're generating X amount of sales. That's a simple differentiator, and I can communicate that to my audience. And even better, they'll say, oh, well, my audience will actually appreciate that differentiator, and I'm going to make a ton of content on that. So the barnacle and the whale strategy, and you kind of have an easy script. Hey, X famous product, we're that, but better, cheaper, faster, cleaner, better for the environment. A differentiator. It's a great little nudge for creators to be like, this is why you want to work with us. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so we've crafted the offer. How do we get creators in? So there's a couple strategies here. You can do a manual strategy of DMing creators one by one and making sure that they're really high quality, but nobody likes doing that amount of work. Let's work smart, not hard. So we use automated outreach. Our go-to tool is Reacher. Reacher's an amazing product. If you go work with them, please tell them SEC sent them to us. We're really good friends with Bora and Jerry. They'll take care of you and really hook you up. So Reacher is a great automated workflow to segment who you are reaching out to, as well as being pretty much a partial CRM for these creators. Like we said, you're going to be reaching out to hundreds of creators. So you manually filtering through which ones are the best fit is a lot of work. I'll break down what you should be doing manually and what should be automated. So you're not, okay, so it's 100% automated. No, there's a good 60, 70% automation, 30, 40% manual work that I'll kind of break down in incoming slides here. So this is some of the filters that this is in the Reacher platform. So when you are doing outreach, you can filter by followers, location, obviously platform, engagement rate, GMV, post rate, and then niches. The ones to really focus on here are the GMV proven. So make sure at least sellers are in the 1,000 to 50,000 sellers. So in the last 30 days, they've actually driven at least $1,000 to $50,000 in GMV. That way you're avoiding the 1,000 to 0, because those are most likely just freebie hunters and looking for handouts and easy, hey, let's get samples for products, as well as pairing that with a post reliability score, right? If people are below 60% and in the 1K to 0K, they're probably just hunting for freebies and then they're not posting. But if they're generating GMV, plus they're posting above 60% and they're in your niche, that's a better chance of success of them getting the sample, connecting with it, creating content, and posting. Those are the 3 filters that we really like to play with. And A/B test is the GMV proven, post reliability, and then what niche do they work in. Brian, let me know if you want to expand on anything.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say before you get into this outreach piece is there's a level of don't overthink it, where you don't want to narrow down your focus so much where you're neglecting possible verticals. What I would highly recommend first is, specifically for the product that you are selling on TikTok Shop, lean into the data that you have available to you. Are there multiple personas for this product? Is it very niche? Is it going to apply to like a broad amount of people? Go to any post-purchase surveys that you've done, whether that's on your D2C or through retail partners. Lean into that data and then think about who is effectively selling to this audience. So like go deeper in your personas. What are the kind of accounts that they follow? What age range of people are they following? If anybody has, old school influencer experience on the Instagram side of things, typically you would see people following people that were 5 to 10 years older than themselves. So keep it open enough that you're going to capture the different personas of people that you're looking for without getting so hyper specific that you're neglecting different audience buckets, especially if you have product that is going to appeal to a large variety of people. make sure that you break those down individually and you segment the outreach that you're doing so that there's very specific messaging to that persona. If you have someone that cares about a product being non-toxic, their messaging is probably going to be a fair bit different than a person that cares that it is going to save them, you know, an hour of a day of getting ready. I'm thinking about clean beauty for this specific example. So just make sure that you know that going in, because with Reacher and, you know, depending on the stage of your store, you are going to have limits on how much outreach you can actually do. And you want to make sure that you're being very intentional while keeping your net as wide as possible.
It's a great segue into this next piece. So the outreach algorithm that we do, Brian just touched on a good big piece is max, you have 5 messages to unconnected creators. So we want to make them count, right? First day or day 0 is the hook, kind of a personalized opener with an offer. And I'll give you an example in the coming slide. Day 2 is the nudge. Hey, reiterate the why. You'll get an exclusive commission here. Just why should they actually? And then touch 3 is like the value add. Here's the product card. Here's a final CTA. Here's an example. Here's our reviews. Here's just anybody that's done anything with retention through D2C. You kind of get this like the hook, the nudge, the value add. This is a great way in from day 0 to day 6, and without spamming them in the first 2 days with all 5 messages, right? Be strategic with this. And a good example of this outreach would be like something like this. Hey, free shipping with $5 floor, TikTok only bundle, right? Exclusive offer. Ads rate the same as organic through Friday. So from now until Friday, have some urgency with it. Want a sample. This could be an easy, it took well below 30 seconds to read. I know exactly what I'm signing up for, or at least I can respond with some questions. This is a great entry point into a relationship of a creator. It provides the financial incentive, the platform and exclusivity, the urgency, and the close with low friction. Do you want a sample? This is an easy way to get the ball rolling, and then you can go nudge them on day 2 and then add a value add on day 6. So this seems like a lot of work, but this is where we balance AI with human, right? How do we automate things, and then what should the humans actually step in? And again, this is for what we recommend with a lot of the brands we work with. These are early days, and this is to create SOPs and different standards in the organization. So if you're a marketing manager, strategist for an agency, or a brand owner, this is a great way to kind of differentiate the AI bots and where you handle. So shipping queries, FAQs, sample requests, and classifying responses, that can all be done through AI and Reacher's AI filters, right? So just little FAQs you can feed it. So a good example is that first message that comes out, they come out with some simple questions that you can already implement into Reacher's AI, where the human, the brand owner, the marketing manager, the strategist should handle is like really strong negotiation. So if there's a high GMV creator that wants like an out of the box negotiation, creative strategy, so setting them up for success. Like I just said, high GMV relationships, so getting them into either a VIP community, which I'll go further in later slides, or then just big like interventions. So like if anybody's making like a really aggressive claim about your shop and you want to like put that fire out, this is where the brand owner, marketing manager, strategist should really jump in. But 60 to 70% of responses can probably be handled through AI bots, and then you can create kind of, and everything should be recorded, guys. Any human intervention, we always say, like us at SEC, we love looms. Creating a loom, hey, this is how I handle this. This is the guidelines. These are the standards when something like this comes in. Hey, a GMV creator, high GMV creator comes in, record it, put it in it, so then you can, easy way to hand it over to either a VA or another, but you as the brand manager, marketing manager, or strategist can set those standards, right? So now let's move into the sampling trap. We see this a lot through brands that kind of, again, in this cold start, they get overwhelmed. So they either just go, hey, here's an open collab, and then they get a ton of free sample requests, right? These are mainly going to be freebie hunters, right? So they then go into the trap of, okay, I'm overwhelmed by all these sampling requests, so I'm going to turn off my open collab. That then kills momentum. We want to have a balance here. So how we do quality control is kind of what I just highlighted, is through AI plus human intervention. 60 to 70% can be done by robots. The 30 to 40% should be done by the founder, review, or brand manager. So an example of this is we would be setting a filter in Reacher. How do we auto reject people? Anybody below 1,000 followers that has a post reliability rate of below 40%, and that just have never driven GMV. If they've driven very little GMV, they have low follower or engagement rate. They just have terrible engagement on their videos. So if you can put those filters in and say, if they hit these marks, let's just auto reject them. Or that's the easy no's. Then there's easy yeses. They have a reliability rate of 80%. They've driven over 50,000 in the last 30 days of GMV. Their engagement rate is through the roof. Let's auto approve those. Anybody in the middle, that's where human, on these early days, that's where you as the founder, marketing manager, whatever position, who's ever leading the charge with the brand, that's where you should be marking them and grading them and creating Loom videos of you going through the vetting process for your team. And that's an easy handoff to either a different employee, a VA, to do this at scale. But this is how you do quality control. There's easy red, there's easy green, anything in between, that reliability rate, that GMV, that is where you as the founder are creating Loom videos. Hey, I'm going through these 100 requests that fall in between that we haven't auto rejected or auto approved. And this is the standards that I'm setting. Take that transcript, throw it into AI, create a SOP, and then you can go get another team member to do this at scale every day. And that is how you can continue to have open collabs at scale and have a team member vetting that quality control, that you as the founder are setting that criteria. If there's the other ways to go about quality control is if they're matching those statistics or they're still in a blurry line, is going over to their content. Go to their page. Do they have good lighting? Do they speak to the audience? Do they have an audience in our niche? There is those other factors that you can weigh in here that you should be putting in these Loom videos or in these transcriptions or these SOPs for your team members. So hopefully that makes sense of where AI can step in and where the human intervention can step in, especially in the early days of your cold start and scaling your cold start, because it's crucial to not do 100% of rejections or approvals. If you're approving everybody, you're going to just send out a mass amount of samples and you're not going to get quality content. And obviously vice versa, if you're just rejecting everybody, your store is never going to get off the ground. So that's how we put these guardrails in place. So your CRM is managing the relationship, right? Again, Reacher is our go-to, but then there's a certain place where they move off of your Reacher CRM and into a community. This seems like a no-brainer, but we've talked to billion-dollar brands before that have never even talked to their top 10 to 20% GMV-driven creators. That is the old model, is just sending out samples and hoping for the best. We can now use Reacher and automations to have these nudges, auto reject, auto approve. Then we create SOPs for how to clarify the middle ground. And then when they do set to this high GMV or this top 10 to 20% of creators, we then have a place to put them, which is our VIP community. We personally at SEC use WhatsApp. A lot of brands use Discord. There's pros and cons to both, but at least having a separate community where these VIP creators can move into, and I'll give you the classifications of what a VIP creator should look like. You need to move them into that place so you can have one-to-one connections. The brands that are killing it out there all have this, and there's still a ton of brands that are wondering why they are not having a successful relationship with creators, and they do not even connect with the creators that are generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales for their store. Brywen, anything you have here to expand on? Or
Yeah, I think doubling down on that is your VIPs, they are going to be the bread and butter. It's sort of the affiliate model on steroids, where your 10, maybe 20% is going to be driving like your 80 to 90% of your GMV. Very important that you make sure they feel like a VIP. Creators at the end of the day are real people with real feelings. They have, if they're performing for you, you can bet you your competition is trying to steal them away. You want to keep their attention. You want them to feel special. You want them to feel like this is a partnership, because their success and your success are so directly connected to one another. So being kind, being supportive, being like a coach is very, very important. Continuously providing examples of like, hey, this is what's working. Hey, here's a new angle to try. Oh, what are you seeing? Having that open dialogue is very, very important. And why I say they're real people, real people get jaded. If they have a bad interaction with you and they don't feel that it was handled in the best way, or they're just overall rubbed the wrong way, they can and will tell other creators about it. They will absolutely be your biggest and strongest champion, but you want to make sure that that champion feels taken care of, because that is the way that they're going to drive consistent results. So you want to make sure that you have that communication with them. You also don't want to neglect your up and comers. So I mean, if you want to think about it as like farming content, you don't just get the harvest. You have to put in a little bit of love and care. So as soon as you start seeing creators start to step out beyond minimal GMV, if you have people that are posting out a ton of content, it's high quality, encourage them as well. So give them additional tips and tricks. Make sure that they know that, hey, you think they're doing a good job, you're valuing them, because creators are also fiercely loyal. Again, they're real people. So if they strike gold with you, where they start generating consistent GMV, they're making money, they're not looking at other brands. They're going to remember that they got their start with you, and they're going to stick with you for the end of time. So don't neglect the little guys, the up and comers. The VIPs are always going to be, the most shiny, especially if you're just looking at a GMV against GMV percentage. But don't forget about the little guys. And specifically, we have on this slide the danger zone, the content pending. TikTok Shop mandates that creators have to post once for a sample that they receive. Really, and something that we do for our clients, we need them posting between 3 and 6 times minimum. That doesn't just come naturally. That is something that you have to keep that communication open. So as soon as the sample is sent, you're going to want to consistently drop little tidbits of information through however long your shipping period is. So within that 14-day window of them actually posting, you're going to want to provide to them information on how to crush a post, any do's and don'ts, brand information, get them excited, and send those gentle reminders saying like, oh, it looks like your samples arrived, like, oh, you're gonna love it. Here's how to really make an amazing post. This is what's working now. So you want to make sure that you have that communication open. It's no different than anything else in that we do in ecom. If you're expecting an output and you tell somebody, and then 14 days later is the next follow-up that you do when it's actually due and needs to be done, chances are you're not going to get a fantastic output. We want them to be excited to create this content, and we want them to know that you're excited about it as well.
Yeah, it's such a good shout on the up and comers. One brand, like an easy kind of strategy that you can implement, is one brand that does this really well is obviously Comfort. Comfort does this. They've blown up on obviously TikTok Shop. Everybody knows them. Hudson, the founder, he does a really good job of, I think, weekly or every second week, they have these creator calls where he'll jump in, and a big part of what he jumps in is he does creator case studies or highlights. He brings spotlights a creator and says, where were you when you first came into the community, and now what are you generating? So these people that can say, oh, I was stay-at-home parent, and now I'm generating 6 figures a month, or whatever their case study. I started here and I came here, and it's all because of this brand. That is the best way to highlight in the creator community, and that embodies retention within your community. And you only get that when you have a community, a separate community. That is when you move them off platform and you engage with them. They do it so well, and that's why they can retain amazing creators. And then there's some more action items like contests. So we have we were talking to a golf apparel brand, and rather than them saying, okay, whoever posts the most amount, they'll get X amount of cash, that's a great way to get the ball rolling within your creator community. But the same brand then did, oh, whoever drives the most GMV will be invited to the Waste Management golf tour, and they'll get to have these tickets. It actually costed them less than their cash prize, and they had through the roof engagement in their community because most of their creators were golf enthusiasts, right? So having like contests or giveaways or just interactions that speak to your niche is the easiest way to generate more engagement or buy-in within the community. And then having case studies and highlights of people started here and now they ended up here in 3 months really motivates them to commit to your brand. Awesome. So this is the affiliate amplifier. So obviously once you've crafted your offer, then you filter out this automated outreach with the human intervention. You'll start getting a mass amount of organic content come in. You then whitelist it through Spark code ads. So you gain their Spark codes. We just use simple spreadsheets for tracking these, and then you get it into the amplifier of through your ad campaigns like a GMV Max or into your TikTok Ads Manager. You have a 70% higher CTR through creator-led videos. Of course, you as a brand can also have an affiliate channel, but then having these creator-led is really where the magic happens for a lot of stores, right? So there's just this easy flywheel of organic content, and I'm going to go through the balance of what should be open collabs, target collabs, and then ad-driven, so you can measure, are you over-indexing on one more than the other? So what metrics matter? You're going to be analyzing. We have brands that analyze up to 30, 40, 50,000 videos a month that they're receiving when your shop gets to scale. So what metrics actually matter? Obviously, who's driving the majority of GMV? What is your top 20%? That's the easiest people to move into a VIP community. What is your affiliate contribution? But a big metric that we look at is what is your view to purchase ratio, right? Anything from a 0.8 to a 1.5 is a really strong conversion rate for videos. And if somebody is converting that high, that is a very easy indicator to greenlight them into a VIP community. There is we've had instances where, and I'll use an example, I'll jump ahead. There's an example where a creator is getting millions of views, but because they just have a really strong first 3-second hook that has nothing to do with the product, but they're not generating they're not converting. Sometimes people will look at, oh, this video is getting X amount of views, they must be a strong creator. Well, people can gamify the system. So having a view to purchase ratio, or even better, a GPM, is easy metrics to really get obsessed over to cut through the noise, right? GPM is GMV driven by 1,000 views. A strong GPM is anything above a $20 mark, right? You can also then average out, okay, this creator has generated X amount of average views per video, and they're generating $20 or $25 at least per 1,000 video. I can actually start projecting, if they're doing this many videos per month, I can start projecting how much revenue they should be generating. So having a strong GPM with a view to purchase ratio and paired with how much GMV are they driving is the best indicators of what creators you should value, or even better, what creators should be getting priority with sampling, right? And who should be in your VIP community. Those are usually a lot of people go to followers or views, which, yes, those are great metrics too, but getting obsessed over GPM, view to purchase ratio, and the percentage of GMV that they're driving, are they following that top 10 to 20? I prefer those metrics over the vanity metrics that a lot of people follow. Right, this is the example that I showed you. We had one creator having millions of views, but their GPM was well below 20. Then we had one creator having a GPM of 45. Who should be getting the priority, or who should be getting target collabs? It should be the creator beat, right? GPM over views, because in that example, I believe it was creator A had, everybody's seen them, those 3-second hooks that have nothing to do with the product. So they got people in, and it was really juicing up the algorithm. So then they were taking off with views, but then they were selling a product that nobody cared about because it had nothing to do with the hook. That is an easy way to cut through the noise. So now that you crafted your offer, you have your outreach, and now you're collecting data, what should be a good mix? This isn't exactly set in stone, but this could give you a good framework. Target collabs being about 40%, open collabs being 35%, and ad-driven GMV sitting around that 25% mark. This can alter, but on a week-to-week, month-to-month, your team should be reporting on the GMV mix, right? If you're driving 90% through target collabs, that means you have a great VIP community and you have a great relationship with them, but there's very little recruiting happening with your open collabs. You're not bringing anybody new into the community, right? So I would then be, okay, how can we open up to get more creators in here and bring in new creators into our target collabs. If you're being 90% driven by ad driven GMV, okay, well, how can we lower that percentage to incentivize or give them better creative strategy on the target collabs or open collabs to drive more GMV, right? If you're over indexing on one, there's problem solution for that. And this is what the GMV, again, percentages can filter, but having a good balance is always healthy for your shop at scale. Like as you're starting off, the percentages will be off, but then as you're getting to that 30, 40, 50K, 100K a month in GMV, having a strong balance of GMV is highly recommended. So here's like a week to week kind of checkpoint that we do in SEC. There's a lot more that goes into a week to week reporting, but just what is our GMV pacing? What is our GMV mix based with that pacing? So are we pacing for our goal? Are we growing? Are we slowing down? And then what is our mix? And then are we identifying our top GPM creators and moving them into our VIP community or our target collabs? These are just a 3 easy checkpoint that your team should be looking at week to week, and you should be having SOPs and Loom videos on each one, analyzing them to make sure that your shop manager or your strategist is managing this correctly. So a bit of a summary. I know we only have 15 minutes left, so I want to open up for some Q&A because I see some amazing questions in the chat. But now, hopefully you have a good idea on how to construct a strong offer, how to configure an automated outreach program like Reacher, how to automate and what is the touch sequence, and then how to do a founder validated ship with SOPs behind it, and then how to amplify and analyze the data that you're going to start receiving through thousands of videos coming into your thriving TikTok shop. I hope this was helpful. We want to balance a strong of like how to set mind frame going into this and how to have actionable steps coming out of this workshop as well, guys. There's before we go into the Q&A, there's we can also, if you're interested, I'll put the link in the chat, but we actually install our operating system into a lot of clients now. So if you're interested in learning like how we track our command center, our operating system, our more in-depth creator playbook, and how do we set up shops logistically, we'll throw a link in the chat and you can talk to our team and we can install that into your business. But Brian, I'll throw it to you for opening up kind of the Q&A, as I know you've been kind of analyzing the chat of where to start with the next 13 minutes.
Yeah, I've been really excited to dig into these questions. I'm going to go in order. Hassan, I'll just ask, you asked a question about luxury brands. I'll just get you to clarify your question a little bit in the chat, and then I'll come back to that. So please do that, and we'll make sure that we get an answer for you. So apologize if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but Candy, you asked a couple of questions here, so I will sort of rapid fire through them because they're really great questions for starting out with TikTok Shop. So diving in here, the first question is, when is it time to turn on GMV Max? You've sent out some samples, but you're not sure when to turn it on, as well as kind of combined with that, what's a good daily budget to start with and ROI when you're launching GMV Max. So one thing that I will say is GMV Max, it is now the only option for brands for actually running ads for shop. So it is, while simple, there are still levers that you can pull. Specifically, if you're starting out, we would recommend a starting budget of between $100 and $300 daily. So that is going to be dependent on what your budget is that you have to work with. But that would be our recommendation, as well as for setting the ROAS target. You want to make sure that you set it at a point where you're actually able to spend that budget. The algorithm with this ad delivery service will not spend your budget if it does not think it can get the ROAS that you're looking for. We'd recommend $100 to $300 a day, and just start the ROAS target at a 1, so that way you're able to get spend. You can have a play around with that from an optimization perspective. Once it starts spending, you can increase your budget, you can increase your ROAS target. So that way you're able to get to whatever your break-even ROAS target is and the budget that you want to spend, but you do have to give it a little bit of breathing room first in order to allow it to spend. The second thing, as far as like when to turn it on, if you follow a similar strategy to what we do for our clients, where you do blitzes, where you have a high volume of content going out at one time, then you're able to turn your GMV Max campaigns on pretty much right away. What I would recommend is just going back through and seeing how much creative you actually have to work with. If you only have, a couple of pieces of creative, I would recommend pushing the people that have samples, getting more content out so that way you have enough to feed your ad campaigns. If you're looking for like a minimum, I say if you're able to launch with 10 to 20 pieces of creative and you know that you're going to get an additional 5 to 10 pieces of creative on a daily basis, that would be ideal. But if you're looking like, when can I just turn the key on this, first analyze how much content that you have, because if you don't have enough content, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. It's just, again, hoping to be lucky with a viral moment. You want to be able to feed it. Your next question is, where can I see the videos that are being posted by affiliates? So if you're in your seller center, you can just toggle on over to your affiliate center, and you will be able to see the videos there. Unfortunately, if I open up Seller Center right now, anyone who's used Seller Center knows it is just painfully slow, and so I won't put anyone through that, but you are able to go through that. Also highly recommend, Google has fantastic walkthroughs. The Shop Seller Center FAQ has fantastic walkthroughs, but it will be in your affiliate center. Marissa, how does Reacher's search functionality differ from TikTok Shop's search experience? So, great question. Very similar in a lot of ways. I think Reacher is just a little bit more granular as far as giving you a broader bucket to go in front of. The other thing that is, we touched on it a little bit previously, being able to use Reacher to the best of your ability is something that you can also talk to your rep about. Your rep is going to be your best friend. This is something that doesn't matter what topic of conversation you're talking about. If it's TikTok Shop and you have a rep, they're your best friend. Foster that relationship. It is not like, Meta or Google reps where the ongoing joke is, oh, you can't trust them. They're just trying to upsell you on something or do something. They don't really know your account. TikTok Shop reps are not like that. They will actually be able to and can and will get you lists of creators from top verticals similar to your own. They will give you that list and you can actually upload it into Reacher. So that is a piece of functionality that is honestly can make night and day difference. So highly recommend checking that out. And sorry, I'm going a little bit rapid fire here because I want to make sure I get to as many as possible here. Hassan, have you seen halo effect on brands, retail stores, and physical stores too? Yes. Amazon is probably the number one that people go to as far as the halo effect. People, seeing something on TikTok Shop, purchasing on Amazon. A lot of that has to do with Amazon just taking over everything. So it's stealing a lot of sales from D2C as well. People are going to be purchasing where they are most comfortable. It's hard to beat free 2-day shipping with Amazon, sometimes faster, and a 60-day guaranteed return policy. It's hard to beat that. So we do see the halo effect trickle on into retail if that is the preferred place of buying something. So perfect example is going to be verticals such as, personal care products. If you are a shampoo brand that, sells in Target, sells in Walmart, sells everywhere, realistically, a person is going to pick that up as they go get their groceries, as they walk by the store on their daily walk to work, what have you. That's not something people typically are going to pick Amazon over Target or Walmart. So we definitely see that. We actually did have a client that dominates retail. They were, doing a lot of great work on TikTok Shop. Our creators were doing a ton of posting. All of the comments on their videos was, hey, pick this up at Target because it's $5 cheaper. This is why you need to have exclusives on TikTok. If you can't beat your retailers on price, have a product that isn't sold anywhere else. So that way the only option for purchase is TikTok. That can be a bundle. That can be, an exclusive drop. That same client that saw all of that foot traffic into retail actually went to the workshop, developed a product specifically and only for TikTok Shop. Which is super exciting. Your creators can also be just like your number one focus group in real time. So if they're telling you, hey, I'm making posts and people are saying they're going somewhere else for it, listen to them. Review the strategy and make sure that the offer and what you have on TikTok Shop makes sense. Great, great, great question.
Just one thing to add on there is we've had this might apply to larger brands, but we've also had a client. They obviously had a massive retail focus, and so with working with hundreds of creators, they asked, how can we amplify our retail, right? Obviously, there's going to be bleed over for halo effect into retail, but how can we make specific content? Because we created this VIP community, we had these amazing relationships. We then took, I think it was 10, 20, maybe 15, and they had a creator incentive budget separate to then a retail content. So then they started producing, we put them on retainer, these creators, and said, okay, please keep creating content for the TikTok shop, but here's also $500, $1,000 a month to create X amount of videos a month for your go to the store, buy it, show the retail experience, and then we'll put brand awareness spend behind it. This was a larger brand, and they wanted, obviously the biggest focus working with us was to grow their TikTok shop, but they wanted to leverage some of these creators for the retail experience. And so we created this sub VIP community that we put them all on retainer. And then they created a number of videos that we then amplified with brand awareness. And it worked really well. So that way, that only works though if you create this VIP community, right? If you have a relationship with them and say, hey, do you want to make some extra money here? Easy. You won't have to get graded on your commission. We'll just give you X amount of money each month to make X videos. We really liked that strategy and it worked really well. And then it fueled their media buying team with a bunch of great videos that they put on Meta for their brand awareness campaigns and their retail experience. So if you have a larger budget, you could do a strategy like that, but there's a ton of bleed over into retail. That's the second nature with TikTok Shop. Keep going, bro. Sorry.
We'll definitely have to do another workshop on alternative places for content, being retail strategies as well as whitelisting into other marketing channels, because that is, I could talk about that forever. Great question though. Aman, yep, you said you're using Yuka, or you were using Yuka. Yeah, there's a lot of outreach tools out there. Reacher is our preferred. We have tried them all. Reacher, we are very, very connected to the team there. So the one thing about all of these technologies that actually are connected to the API on TikTok Shop is the API can be very buggy. So if you've used Yuka, if you've used these other tools, you've probably gone through, periods of random blackouts, data not pulling, inaccuracies. The one benefit that we have outside of just us thinking it is a superior tool for what we've used it for in our experience is the team at Reacher is incredibly responsive. So they've actually baked in a lot of additional features that we specifically requested and are very quick for the bug fixes and very transparent about it. So that's just another reason why we really like Reacher. They're not on this call, but that certainly sounded like a shout out. Rick, are you able to have the creators join the community before you approve them? I mean, there are going to be ways that you could, but really it's not something you're going to want to do. You do not want to take up space in your creator community with people you don't want to work with. If you want to do some additional vetting ahead of time before you approve their sample, you can, send them a DM, ask them questions. Everything that you add to the front of approving the sample is going to slow it down. So just something to be aware of there. Tying in with Andrew's question, do you try and get all qualified creators off TikTok creator chat and into a community ASAP? Yes. As soon as that sample is sent, we invite them into our creator community. You're going to want to do the same because again, that window between approving the sample and that first post, you're going to want outreach to them. You don't want to have to use all of your messages up for people that have already been sent a sample. You want them in that community. You want to answer questions. You want to coach. You want to provide, resource materials. As soon as you are able, that sample is sent, send them that invite. Get them into a personal little space where you can have one-on-one chats with them. That is the best way to stay connected and functionally own that relationship. Shelby, how are you able to require them to post multiple times? So it is something that we have specifically in terms for our creator community. It is a standard that we set so they know to have the privilege of joining the community, having access to coaching, the brands that we work with, and some other bells and whistles and perks. They are expected to post multiple times. that is what gets them, additional incentives. That's what gets them the exclusivity. So that's something that definitely push, but it needs to be a trade-off. They need to get something in return for that. I know we're at time now. So I'm just very quickly seeing if there's any other questions in a different vein that we did not go up for.
Well,
Let me see
I
here.
kind of teased it at the beginning. If you're interested in the operating system, I threw the link in there. Just you'll probably most likely be talking with either Ryan or Felix. Just mention it to them. They know exactly what to to walk you through for the operating system and can kind of give you further details on it. But yeah, so the link is in the chat as well.
Perfect. And then I'll just wrap up here. Hassan had a great question about
Hmm.
more expensive products. If they're over $100, how do you deal with creators? Because you can't necessarily seed at scale. I think the first step is really going back into your business and understanding how many samples you can actually send. Um, TikTok Shop is certainly geared for scale and needing to send out a volume of samples to get a volume of content to find the quality and to allow the sort of cream to rise to the top. So just figuring out what your capacity for sampling is. And then making sure that, similar to what Parker said previously, you're looking at, well, what competitive products or the most known in the space can I sort of connect myself to but differentiate, so that way you're targeting very specific creators. If you use Calidata, for instance, go find that brand that you're like, that's, for lack of a better phrase, who I want to grow up to be, or the types of creators that I want working with me. Go through that list, identify them, and start there. You can be choosy. It is going to be a longer road doing it that way
Yeah.
instead of being able to sample at scale. So it's just, the only thing that it's really going to do is take your timeline from cold start to realistically being profitable on the channel. It's just going to lengthen that timeline.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions in the hopper there, Brian, or?
Um, I think we have time for one more. Appreciate everyone sticking around for 2 extra minutes. Couple of people have the same question as Bob. How can we tier out a WhatsApp community with different tiers, etc.? Any SOPs you can share on this? Also, VIPs at 500 per month retainers. What should we expect in return? Great question. So if you have established creators that you can sort of break it down and say, hey, these are our VIPs, these are who are driving the GMV, tier them out immediately and set some internal thresholds for yourself. This is all stuff that, as Parker mentioned, would be available in our operating system, but just information on what is your threshold for GMV, that GPM that Parker mentioned previously, as well as who, and this is just something, if you're trying to use that content on other channels, think about the halo. Don't just think about TikTok Shop. What are the creators that are making really awesome content for you on a regular basis that you're actually leveraging in other channels and are able to whitelist? That is something that you want to be thinking about. They should be in your VIP community as well, because that is someone that you can tap into for multiple points of your business. So tier them out and then break out the middle of people that are generating GMV, but they're not quite at that VIP level. And depending on the size of that, you can also include it in your, what I would call, quote unquote, farm group. So your up and comers.
Yeah, so we have two communities for every brand, Bob, like Brian just highlighted. And what we've also done is we've actually taken VIPs and given them extra compensation to come in and coach the up and comers. And that then just gets them, like Brian was saying, like, oh, I want to be like that one day. And it gives them the roadmap and they'll then coach them on creative strategy. But we separated it out. So just the easy guidelines that we walked through in the chat of GPM, conversion rate, and the GMV they're driving. And then interacting with them and then even using that VIP group over to your up and coming group and coaching them is an easy way to be like, okay, you had a lot of success with my brand. Can you help me replicate it across these up and comers? And those are some SOPs that we've kind of worked through.
And I mean, if you're paying a VIP $500 a month, in addition to what I would assume them having a higher commission rate, I'm expecting a lot more posts from them. So like minimum of 15 posts a month, for instance. as well as if you have any people that are like your top earner, as Parker said, tie them into a coaching role, pay them an extra $100 or a couple $100 a month, and they need to host a like meet and greet with the other creators to go through, hey, this is how I make my top videos, this is what works. Make them basically a brand ambassador within that channel. We call them pod squads on our side, but that would be my recommendation there. I know there's probably, the more we speak, the more questions that will probably pop up, but I think we've gone 5 minutes over, so we'll end the workshop here. But Parker and I are going to be regular faces on this, and so keep an eye on that calendar on your request list there for the webinars and the workshops coming through. And these are all topics that we'll continue to cover, especially as they continue to evolve.